This is section 3 of part 2 of our Vectorworks drafting tutorial. In this section, we're going to be looking at laying in soft goods to the set that we're constructing. So for laying in all of the scenery, we've been on the scenery layer the entire time we've been doing part 2, but now we need to move to the soft goods layer to put in our legs and borders. So I'm going to come up to the navigation palette and click so my check mark is next to soft goods. Now I know I'm on that layer. I'm going to verify that my layer options are still show snap others. Keep in mind another way to get to that layer would be to click to the layer drop down menu and select whichever one you like. Because I'm in the soft goods layer now, I can still reference things on the layers below it, either the scenery layer or the theater floor plan layer, but I can't click and manipulate and change any of those. They're all locked into place. I know they're not going to move, so everything is safe. So on the soft goods layer, I'm going to switch to a different tool set. I'm going to come down here to the event design tool set, and there's a tool here labeled soft goods. We'll click on that to activate it, and then up in the toolbar, I'm going to come to the preferences button. I'll click on that, and I'll get a new dialog box showing me the object properties of my soft goods. You can see under function, there's some different options. You can have a curtain, you can have a border, or you can have pipe and drape. If you were doing some sort of event, we're going to leave that at curtain for now, and we're going to tell it that its height is 30 feet. Okay, and then we're going to come down and we're going to make sure that our stock drape width is 10 feet. It's defaulting to that, so that's fine. We're not going to worry about anything else in this dialog box right now. You can really get down to the minutia in terms of how you want it represented if you're doing renderings. For our purposes, what we've done so far is going to be just fine, so we'll click OK to get out of that. Our stage right and stage left scenic walls have been positioned so that the downstage edge of them is right in line with line set 2, which we determined is going to be the pipe that has our number 1 legs on it. So I'm going to go ahead and start my line right on that corner, dragging it off stage left. I'll tab into the floating data bar and tell it that I want this to be 10 feet wide. It gives me my length circle. I'll hold down shift to lock that in and click once. And then Vectorworks is going to allow me to continue that line, much like the polygon tool, if I want my curtain to turn off at another direction at that point. In this instance, I don't, so I'm just going to leave it right on that endpoint and click one more time, and it creates my curtain. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this so that I can add my other sets of legs. So Command D to duplicate. And I'm going to grab the offstage corner of this and drag it up to line set 7, which is where my number 2 legs are going to be. So click and drag. I'm going to activate the endpoint smart point right there, and then hold down the shift key to lock that in vertically and let go, and it's moved my leg. It's not doing me a whole lot of good right there, so I'll grab the on-stage point of that, hold down my shift key so I can lock it in horizontally and move it to where I lock in to intersect that scenic wall. I'm going to do that one more time, so duplicate and move the new duplication up to intersect with line set 12, and then I'll move it on stage so it intersects with the wall. Great. I'm going to do one more of those, but I'm actually going to grab the original one that I did for the upstage version. You'll see why in a minute. So I'll grab that bottom one, duplicate it yet again, grab the offstage endpoint, and bring that up so it's even with line set 17. I'll let go, and there are my 4 stage left legs for this production. Obviously, we need those on both sides of the stage, so I'll activate my selection tool, shift and click so I select all 4 of them, and then with my mirror tool in duplicate mode, mirror those across center line, and there they are. The next thing I'm going to do is group them by pairs. So I'm going to grab the downstage left and shift click the downstage right, so I have both of those, and I'm going to create a group out of those. The reason that I do this is that if you need to move your legs to a different line set when you're sorting out your line set schedule, you don't have to worry about moving both halves. You can just grab one that's closest to the line set schedule and be able to move that and know that its pairs coming with it, so you don't run into a situation where you have the stage left leg on one line set and the stage right leg 2 line sets further up stage because of a change that didn't get duplicated. So we're just going to grab all of these and individually group them. Great. So we've got our legs in. The next thing we're going to do is place our borders. So I'm going to activate my soft goods tool again, and I'm going to come back up to the preferences. And now I'm going to tell it that we're drafting a border and that the height of my borders is going to be 10 feet. Okay. And my first border we determined it was going to be much like our valance is going to be on line set 1. So in line with line set 1, I'm going to start at center line and click once, head it off stage left, tab into the data bar, and I'm going to make it 55 feet long. This is going to extend clear outside of the theater, which is perfectly fine right now. I'm going to zoom out to see where its end is. I'm going to click to set that distance. I'm going to click once more to finish that curtain. There's my border. And now that I've got that finished, I'm going to go ahead and move it. And we're going to move it on the x-axis, and we're going to move it minus 27 feet 6 inches. There we go. Now it's moved it so that that border is centered in the space. We're going to just duplicate this for our other borders. So our next one is on line set 6. So I can Command D to duplicate, bring it up so that I'm in line with line set 6. There's one. We'll go up to line set 11 for our number 3 border. We'll duplicate that and move up to line set 16 for our number 4 border. And then we're going to do it one last time and move it up so it's even with line set 22, which is where our BOC is, or blackout curtain. So because that's a blackout curtain, it doesn't extend just 10 feet down from the pipe. It actually extends all the way to the floor. So with it selected, we're going to go up to our object info palette, and we're just going to tell it that the height of this is now 30 feet. Great. We need to add one more piece of soft goods, and that's the backdrop that we're referencing on line set 21. So we can do that in plan view by just representing a simple line with a 7 mil line weight. So I'm going to activate my line tool, make sure I'm in line with line set 21, come over to center. Our backdrop's going to be 50 feet wide, so I will click once and extend it off stage left, tab in and say that's going to be 50 feet, enter, great. I'm going to click to set that line, and then I'm going to move it back minus 25 feet so it'll be centered. There we go, there's our backdrop in place on line set 21. That's all of our soft goods. So I'm going to go ahead and fit to my objects and save my file. In section 4 of this tutorial, we'll work on placing some furniture on the set.